On the radar.
Hello, everyone. This is On the Radar, a Minnesota Spokesman-Recorder podcast highlighting Black creatives in Minnesota. Today, we have Antione Jenkins, who is a muralist, artist, DJ, designer,
Yeah.
curator.
Yep.
Trying to make sure I get everything. How are you
Yes.
today?
I'm blessed. How are you?
I'm good. So just to start off, tell us about what you do.
hmm
I named a lot of different things, so break it down.
Hello, world. I'm Antoine, the artist. I am 28 years old from Coon Rapids, Minnesota. I've been an artist now for about going on 10 years. Something I've looked up to for a very long time now. What I would say is truly, at the end of the day, I am an artist. And I think that I express that through many different forms, but I'm a multidisciplinary artist. That's truthfully what I am, to sum it all up.
Yeah. And how did you get into art?
I started off getting into art. I mean, I've always been a kid that's been like self-expressed. Like I've always self-expressed myself in different ways, from like the way that I dress to even dyeing my hair. I used to dance and like dancing pep rallies in middle school in front of the whole school, to like playing basketball my whole life, like, and wearing shoes. But that all kind of went into fashion, and like being self-expression, drawing on my desk and drawing on my arms and stuff like that, all led me to like creating like customizing shoes to my senior year. And with the journey of me like customizing shoes, I got a lot of feedback throughout the timeline of me doing that, and to actually taking it serious. And within that time, between my senior year and me going to my freshman year of college, I ended up connecting with one of the homies, and he ended up letting me design a pair of shoes for him, where he showcased it on ESPN live on TV when he committed to Duke University. And then from that moment on, I was in the like position of like, did I still want to continuously playing basketball, or still continuously like trying to do basketball where I'm like sitting on the bench, or I'm like having this like health issue, or do I push more into following my heart and where this art is going to take me? It's kind of I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty with it, but I've seen an opportunity right now where I might have struck gold. And so that moment, that's when I took in, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to dive into this art and fall in deep with it and see where it takes me. And ever since then, life has been a beautiful journey.
Yeah. So that's cool. Even before you knew like art is the way I'm gonna take instead of basketball,
Mhm.
um, you were still working with customizing shoes.
Yep.
What about shoes called to you?
Shoes was just something I always just loved as a kid. Like I always wanted a new pair of shoes. Like something about just having a pair of shoes just always made me like feel good. Like I would go in a room and could like would look at certain people's shoes and know that certain type of conversations I could have. But like um, I think that I just really love sneakers, and I really wanted to be like a big sneaker designer working for like Nike or Adidas or whatever big companies there was, to be like, yo, I want to create this Jordan specific shoe.
Mm.
And so a lot of that was just like, yo, I don't want to be a traditional artist, so let me figure out something that's kind of in my lane that works with me. And so um I didn't necessarily see that path here and like what you could go to school for with it. So I just like, hey, let me just be the best artist and the biggest artist I can be, and then get recognized from there.
Yeah.
So that was like my start of that.
Hmm. And now you moved on from shoes to other clothing items?
Yeah, so it went from, in the mix of me doing shoes, I was always like behind the scenes helping out other brands. And so one big brand I was really working with from the here was For the City, and they were doing a lot of different drops and stuff that was like pretty big. It was getting popular like all across the city. Like everywhere you go, you would know, people would be like, "Oh, For the City." Like so I did a lot of work with them behind the scenes of like designing garments to, conceptualizing stuff. And after a while, I was kind of just like, I want to just create my own brand, and I want to have my own drops, and I want to have these own things where like I'm not just customizing and taking client stuff. I can actually create the demand off of my own creativity. So I took all of those aspects and kind of just put it into my own. And then I also took an online course through Complex about how to run a brand and, be in that space. So I
Mm.
took a lot of different information and stayed on, like, I stayed knowledgeable. That was the biggest thing.
Cool. Um, Going back to basketball, since that was like a big part of your life,
hmm
do you think is there anything that you learned while practicing or playing that still shows up in your artist career?
Yeah. I think that basketball definitely made me who I was. Like, there's definitely, I think sports in general, I think that's going to bring you out as you being an entrepreneur or artist. I think there's a lot of things you can take from sports to being in yourself because you have to be the coach and the player being an entrepreneur. And so a lot of those times where you might be in certain slumps, you got to get yourself out of. And, or there's certain places where you got to coach yourself to be able to hold yourself up to a higher standard. So like one thing I always like to say is like 1% every day. And then like practice makes perfect. So
Mhm.
like if you fall in love with being in practice, everything else and doing the right practice, you're going to be able to achieve perfection. And so just having that mindset and then also having a mindset of being able to work with a team and being able to just be a leader and just think outside the box and knowing that, the work that you do beyond the lights when the lights aren't on is still what's going to show when the lights are on. So just having those mentalities and understanding those different stools and those obstacles that you have to go through being on a team and just learning what to adapt with other people and the challenges that you face during the game with that pressure, like all of those things played into effect of how you are as an entrepreneur or as an artist where you might have life things that are challenging you where you might feel like, damn, the world's all against me right now,
Mhm.
or there's other moments where you feel like you're on top of the world where you just did amazing work. And so it's just like you're always going to be high and low, but you always have to maintain that regulation, like for yourself.
Yeah. What does practice look like for you as an artist when, because it seems really different from,
Yeah.
practicing for a sport
Hmm.
versus practicing for something um that can just be you sometimes.
Yeah, I think a lot of practice with me, um, it depends on. I think that it depends on what it is. So like, it's definitely involving myself with other people and like creating every day. So I have a goal where I have to just consistently have either a drawing or create something that I just need to do, and even just having those little goals of just even if it's just a little quick thumbnail sketch, like I can go back and look at for that and be like, okay, I achieved this. This is cool. I got over this little hump because there are certain things when you're painting and you're looking at something and that doesn't look like absolute nothing of what your vision that you created. But over the times you gotta wait over it, let it dry or let it come to you or like take a step back and then come back to it. Like I sit in hours and hours in at a time at it. So me now sitting down for an hour doesn't feel like much. So like I can't really sit down for like 30 minutes and just focus in on art and then come back into it because I want to be in my flow state for like 4 to 6 hours at a time, or like a couple hours where I'm sitting there focusing on it, then take a little 30 minute and then go back in for like another four and then come back out. Like I just like being in that space.
Mhm. So you've done a lot of big murals. Can
Mhm.
you tell me about how you got into murals?
Yeah. So truthfully, it was really the concept of me just taking my concepts from painting on shoes and coming up with those one-on-one concepts and then putting them onto walls. And so my first ever mural that I've ever painted with my partner Wu was in 2016, and we painted it for like this company called Kings of Vintage. And this at the time I didn't we had freehanded it, we had messed up a couple times in the process, but we ended up achieving it how we ended up getting it done and it looked pretty good. And so I didn't really think about it too much to like dive deeper in, but that's when I started doing more shoes. But then after I did a mural for George Floyd, outside of Spy House during like the COVID and all of that uncivil times, like I did a mural outside of Spy House Coffee, which led me to getting my own drink on the menu that I asked for. And so I pitched for them to get a drink and ended up designing the cup, getting my own drink that was on the menu. I'd had proceeds being donated back to the city to different like to a few different nonprofits that were centered around art. And
Mhm.
so like Juxtaposition was one, Art for the Kids was another. And so we did that for a few years, which led me to go back to like, you know what, I can start doing this big to full time now with the murals and still do the shoes. And I eventually just kept asking other people just had walls and it was just like, yo, I have these concepts and I created little mock-ups for them. And now over the last year, I've been able to start finding my own little pocket of areas where it's daycare centers or I've done stuff at the Target Center and their employee lounge. I've done stuff like live paintings or merchandise collaborations with the United Soccer team. I have a mural I'm revealing with the Twins Stadium with the Twins here this spring, going into summer, and so and even like me getting flown out to go to people's houses and things like that. So it's like the opportunities now with not being able to just focus on shoes, but to show them that I can do any type of wall or anything that's large scale, it just showing just goes more to prove to like what I'm done. And there's a lot of history behind murals and artwork with like a lot of the big amazing artists. And so like now I'm just thinking like, yo, I can just let the world be my canvas because anything that's available, I can make sense and I can make it make shake. I can make it shake. So that's kind of where my mind is at with it.
Yeah. So when we're thinking about, well, first of all, that's really cool,
Yeah,
and
thank you.
congratulations for your different partnerships. When we're thinking about the George Floyd mural, and then another mural you talked about that's highlighting, black athletes,
hmm
why is it important for you to highlight black people in your art, and why?
Um, Yeah, truthfully, I think that we need to. The biggest thing, even when I was pitching towards the Twins with it, I was just telling them like, "Yo, my big thing about this whole thing is just showcasing Black people in like a surreal way, in a life, in a bigger than life type of way." And I think that a lot of times, a lot of Black people, and I'm not even just saying like the mainstream celebrities and heroes that we see. I think there's a lot more heroes that need to be like identified
Mm,
and showcased in a light where we are black and beautiful and powerful. And so the more that that's a thing, the more that these younger kids or these biracial kids can see that and have some inspiration about doing anything, because there's nothing new underneath the sun. It's
yeah.
just understanding, finding that light that's going to spark you to not be in the shadows.
Mm,
So it is very powerful to be able to have the opportunity to showcase that, and so a lot of the times you can kind of feel the power of like when you're creating and doing these things where, I am showcasing this off for somebody's legacy that they've done, or just putting that power and influence into the painting just gives you is a lot. There's a lot of energy that forms around it, So there's a lot of inspiration that wells that come, and so it just only like inspires me to go and be a bit greater because I'm painting these people that are, historians for what I'm living today.
So you're also a DJ,
A part-time DJ, a
part-time
little
DJ.
bit. Like I DJ when we have events and times to time like that. But I broke my computer, so I haven't been able to really do too much DJing. I've been so busy painting.
Right. I was gonna ask, like, how do you balance that? So it's just whenever you have the time to do it?
Yeah, low key. It's really just like whenever I have the time or whenever I'm just kind of like hanging out with the guys or we're hanging out having events.
Mm,
It's kind of just like one of those things where it's just like a passion and outlet because I listen to so much music and music's such a big inspiration to me when it comes to creating. So it's just like, just kind of like I might as well learn it a little bit.
yeah. Um, what is some advice that you would give young artists
hmm
who may be told to like choose one thing,
Yeah.
like, stick with one medium
hmm
or one art?
I think that my advice would be just start it now. Actually, start yesterday because the only thing that's going to stop you is yourself, especially being an artist. And the more that you're doing and you're creating in the same lane of what you're going to do, the more like lanes are going to open up for you as well. So like if you're driving down this one way, by the time you get to somewhere, you're going to end up making a turn, and that turn is going to get you to the destination of where you need to go. But
Mm,
also with that, there's going to be some distractions on the long with that, but also it's going to give you the right conversation that you need to be in, the right rooms you need to go in, and opportunities that might be that just come in the mix of it. So I say like just start it because I have a lot of conversations where people have all these grand ideas, but the thing is once you get an idea that goes to your head, the idea is already into the world. And so it's like you got to be able to once you get that idea, just pounce on it immediately.
right.
And once you get that, I feel like a lot of people don't do the starting issue. There's a lot more thinking and going, but it's just like sometimes when I'm getting don't know what to put on a canvas, it's just like, yo, I'll take my left hand and just scribble and then see whatever comes to my mind when I see on there. And so that's how I just figured, like, you just got to get over those mental battles. And that's why I say your biggest battle is going to be yourself.
Yeah. What is your advice for either young people or people that are
hmm
already practicing for getting some of the opportunities that you got and
hmm
partnering with, big names in the Twin Cities like the Twins and the Target?
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of the times, what I've learned is first things first. Closed mouths don't get fed. And if you can actually sell a proof and actually be professional about what you have going on and you're passionate about it and you have proof to do that, anything can happen. And it's going to take time. And I think that networking will get you anywhere that you want to go in life, and don't be afraid to be yourself in any room. Obviously, like I said, you'd have to be professional, but at that within that same breath, I think that you being an artist is the reason why people want artists around is because they want to show no, as artists, our jobs is to be authentically ourselves so that people can gravitate towards that and see that and be like, I relate to that and I want to do this myself because a lot of people aren't comfortable in their own skin. And once people get to understanding like they're confident with who they themselves are and just say live in the carefree state, there's a lot of things that come to you that way. And I feel like artists, like I said, artists and what our job is to do is to open that eye for people and have shed that light for other people to be like, you know what, this does make sense. I have seen this and like I have this person that does this and it's like this is not stopping them. This is not stopping this person. And also like it doesn't you just might be in your environment, you could feel controlled, but if you look at the world overall, there's somebody doing what you already want to do.
Yeah. What are some of your goals over the next, short term or long term
Um,
as an artist?
as an artist, I mean, my goal is just to let the world be my canvas. So obviously, I want the more bigger projects that I can, have my artwork shown in a national presence, and across the world where it can impact any and everybody. Some other goals I do want to have just to, figure out. I want to have my own coloring book, but then it opens up into like my own like children's book down the line that I animate and draw myself.
Mm.
Um, I definitely potentially would tie that into having my own daycare center because I work with a lot of daycare centers that I paint in, and so like having those three kind of tying together, I think I could make a big story with that. Just creating the characters and designing certain spaces to kind of go with all of that. I definitely want to be in a partnership with a shoe brand in partnership with a um, creative cultural partner of some sort with one of the local sports teams here. Um, Being able to be like some sort of like creative director that brings these big national ideas here in Minnesota. I definitely would love to paint the one of the big buildings like the A Mill, Pillsbury Mill. It's like all white. I want to, or just paint one big, build, building downtown. I think that would be super dope to have.
Yeah.
Just have that just in the way. Also, I want to do a mural, and this is just like one big goal of mine. I don't know when, but I want to paint a mural, a grass mural for a football team, the baseball team, or a soccer team. I feel like having that attached towards them would be so crazy because you've never seen an artist do that,
Mhm.
or designing like a basketball court, or like painting the ball that they use for something. So, I just want to have my art involved in what's already in the world and doing that to the biggest degree, and just letting that be the light that Minnesota kind of gets to see, and like you know, I get to tie all of that back to the city and have it, blossom here, and we get to take everything that's there and show the world what we really have to offer. And so I feel like we already been in the same breath in the same conversation that Minnesota is not necessarily the biggest hotspot, but I feel like it is. If you know, you know, and I think that's like our best hidden gem about it.
Mhm.
And so I think once people start coming here and slowly start moving here within the next 5 to 10 years, finally start seeing that. But I think that we're in a good position regardless.
Yeah. Um, what are some projects you're most excited about in the coming months?
Hmm.
And this will air in about a month. So anything after that.
Okay. I have a mural I'm revealing inside the Twin Stadium. I'm very excited about. That's showcasing about 10 to 13 players, black players specifically, that were the most notable players from the Twins organization. So I have that coming. I'm also going to be working on Skin Tones, my other company. Um, we're going to be working on a project with Luna Azul. It's a tequila company. We're kickstarting we're having a brand activation with them in Atlanta with a few guest celebrities from that are big time. We're gonna have like special guests like Mike Will made it, Alicia, and a bunch of her friends, and some other people coming through. So um, we have those two. I have some other murals I'm supposed to be doing in the mix. So I have some in St. Cloud that I'm going to be working on. I have one I just did a walkthrough yesterday here on the south side. And then, yeah, wherever the wind blows after that, it's just kind of, taking it from there. We have probably some product drops that we're going to be releasing as well. So I'm just excited for what the summer and the rest of the opportunities that are here to unlock that I don't know. So
Yeah. Where can people follow you to keep up with your art, reach out for
yeah.
opportunities, and see your art?
I'm always taking bookings, so if you guys want to reach out to me, my whole social, you guys can find me on my personal is where is underscore ant. Ants, you can find my art and all of that stuff. Ants dot creations. And then if you guys want to reach out, feel free to reach out to my email or just DM me. But I also have a website as well, www.antscreations.com, and you guys can reach out there. But also follow Skin Tones as well, SKNTONES. And we have more projects and get-togethers, community activations, all of that stuff coming here this summer. So please feel free to reach out anytime. And we have a shop downtown as well. So yeah, come by.
Cool. Fun. All right. Well, thank you, Antoine, for being here today and sharing about your journey and
Hmm.
all the different art that you do.
Yes.
Listeners, if you know or are a creative who should be featured on the radar, nominate them on our website at msr.media.